Czechast, a podcast in English about Czech and Moravian society, history, culture and economy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Czechast, the podcast about all things Czech, from the heart of Europe to every corner of the world where you might hear Czech being spoken or remembered. Before we get into today's story, I want to start with a small apology. It's been 3 weeks since our last episode. Why the break? Well, believe it or not, I spent most of that time riding a bicycle. Yes, an actual bicycle, but not just anywhere. I rode it from New York City to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That journey took me through Trenton, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Wilmington, Delaware, Baltimore, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. Then I continued along the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal towpath to Cumberland, Maryland, on the Great Allegheny Passage all the way to Pittsburgh. Why did I do it? I needed to experience the United States in a new way, not just as a reporter who flies in, rents a car and does a few quick interviews, but as someone who wanted to feel the country, slowly, up close, through cities and towns, along long abandoned canals and into rougher neighborhoods that you won't find in travel brochures. Places where the American story plays out every single day. And as I was riding through cities and neighborhoods, talking to people and thinking about all the headlines we read about a divided America, polarized politics, culture wars, I kept wondering, why do so many young people from Czechia and many other countries still choose to come here? Why do some of them, despite all that noise, still call, or at least want to call, this country home? And that's why I wanted to connect with one of them. His name is Adam Holomoucký. Adam and his wife just graduated from university in North Carolina. He came to the US on a sports scholarship. And I started our conversation by asking him why he chose America and not, say, another country in the European Union.
There might be some listeners who might not agree with me, but I still believe that the opportunities here in the US are enormous, are gigantic. And if I would stay in Europe, I don't feel like I would change the environment that much. I would still be 4 hours by car from home.
Adam also shared his thoughts on how the US is perceived, especially through the lens of politics.
I don't think US should be portrayed as a Trump's country because there is, many different states, and I don't think portraying or saying, hey, this is Trump's country, is fair. And I don't think it would be fair even though if there would be Kamala Harris. It's not Harris' country, it's not Trump's country, it's people's country.
Now that they have graduated, Adam and his wife are thinking of exploring more of the United States, maybe moving to Colorado or Texas.
Colorado is amazing, the nature is awesome, and Texas, that's a completely different thing. As we said before, each state is different, and we still feel like we want to explore the US a little bit more. And we now understand, let's say, the culture in the North Carolina. We understand the people here. But we already had that planned 4 years ago. We want to see other people. We want to see different cultures. We want to see if it's same or if it's not same.
But through it all, Adam says his heart remains Czech.
I'm proud to be Czech. I'm teaching my friends some Czech words, and I'm a big supporter of Czech communities in the United States. I'm connected with a lot of communities here in the United States. I want to support Czech communities worldwide. I want to prove that I'm from Czech Republic, and I want to be proud that I'm from the Czech Republic.
So, coming up, more from my conversation with Adam Holomoucký about Czech-American experience now in the third decade of the 21st century.
Czechast, a podcast in English about all things Czech. Whether you're an English-speaking expat living in Czechia and Slovakia, or a descendant of the Czechs, Moravians and Slovaks who left for a better life in America, Australia, Britain or Canada so long ago that you don't speak the language of the old country, this podcast in English is for you.
So, Adam, why did you decide to go to the US? Why not some other European country or, I don't know, perhaps Canada?
That's a great question, and I feel like it's really hard one in a way, because I came to the US for my studies, for my university studies. And the main reason was that I was able to combine sport and the university. So I received a triathlon scholarship at the university in North Carolina. It's a private university. It's called Queen's University of Charlotte. It's really small university, actually. We are the smallest university in D1, so Division 1 athletics. And I think the deal breaker why we came to the US and not probably Great Britain or somewhere else was mainly the thing that I was able to combine sport and university, but also because my then girlfriend, now wife, wanted to study a specific program that was not yet in the Czech Republic. So that these two were the main reasons why we came to the United States.
If it's not too kind of nosy, what did your girlfriend and now wife want to study in the US that was not possible to study in Czechia?
So she was studying at VŠE in the Czech Republic. And
so the Prague University of Economics, or officially the Prague University of Economics and Business.
Economics University, Prague, yeah, exactly. And then, so she wanted to study data analytics and business science, and it was starting in Prague. So the program was fairly new. I think it was actually starting right after she finished her bachelor's degree. But here in the US, it was already, going on kind of. And in Charlotte, at UNC Charlotte, the program is very well known worldwide. So she had the opportunity to come here and do it here. So I think that was very important for her.
And that's the same college you got your sports scholarship from, right?
No. It's more complicated. Yeah. So in Charlotte, in North Carolina region, there is literally maybe 10 universities. And it was very hard to, when you go to the US alone, it's only about you. But when you go there with someone else, with your family or girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, it's harder. So you have to kind of plan it beforehand.
Adam, I don't want to dwell too much on technical details, but I just wonder how it works. For example, with insurance. If you get a sports scholarship from triathlon, I suppose there is always a high risk of injury if you do some sport, including triathlon?
Yeah, triathlon is not a huge sport in the US, let's say. So not many people even know that you can do triathlon in US, every university for scholarship. But yes, I had to pay for some of my stuff. Mainly insurance, as you said. But on the other hand, I know several athletes who raced for a different university and they didn't have to pay for it. So this is very, very individual based on the university. But me personally, I had to pay for my insurance. But other than that, everything was paid for. So this was let's say hard, and I had to work and find different ways how I can support my living costs in the US. But yeah, I had the opportunity to work as a graduate assistant on campus as well, which really helped me.
It really brings me back to the first question. Why go to the US, where it is much harder to find legal ways to financially support yourself as a college student than in the European Union? Plus, a lot of people would say that America in general is not such a welcoming country as it used to be. What do you think?
I know that there might be some listeners who might not agree with me, but I still believe that the opportunities here in the US are enormous, are gigantic. And if I would stay in Europe, I don't feel like I would change the environment that much. I would still be 4 hours by car from home. I would still probably visit my parents every so often, and it wouldn't be challenge, as to speak. So I wouldn't be. I really wanted to be kind of in a different environment, completely different environment. And combining sport with university is almost impossible in different, European countries. So, or at least triathlon, let's say, because I know sometimes you can combine ice hockey, soccer, football in Czech. So it's very different. And United States, I think they won because of the sport, but also we wanted to try something completely different environment, completely different culture. And we wanted to be by ourselves and be challenged and be really, we wanted to open our eyes rather than experiencing something that we already experience or we already know.
In this context, why the US and not Canada again, for example? Were you perhaps thinking about Canada at all?
Oh yeah, I love Canada. Honestly, I've been to Canada. I've raced there. It's an amazing country. I love Toronto. I really love their nature, but I don't think Canada was option for us at that time because of the sport. Again, I'm going to repeat myself, but because I received a scholarship on one of the best triathlon universities in the country, in the United States, I think Canada wasn't on the map for us at that time, but I believe in the future it might be. So, but yeah, I don't think it was an option during that time.
I think you indicated yourself that as a college student or a sportsman, you live in a bit of a bubble in the US. But let me ask you anyway, do you feel personally that the life in the US has changed after the last presidential election? And I am not asking so much about whether it changed for the better or for worse, just if it has changed at all.
Personally, I actually had this discussion this past weekend with family members. Personally, I don't feel a huge change, a huge switch kind of in my everyday life. I had several discussions with my US friends, my not fellow Americans, but my good friends, and they can vote. They actually voted. Not always their candidate didn't win or he won. I mean, I have friends from both kind of sides, but I'm asking them, hey, like, did anything change? And they are like, I don't feel a change. There are several small changes, but overall, I mean, not really. Don't take me wrong. I mean, I believe there are some changes for good or for worse, but personally, I can't say that it affected me in bad or good way.
Adam, before I ask you the next question, let me share this little story with you as a kind of introduction. I've got this friend who lives in Northern California. He's a bit older. Well, actually, he's my age, so around 60. And he has a neighbor, a high school friend, who obviously went to the same school as he did in a small town in Northern California. Now they both work for the same institution. It's actually a state prison, of all things. But that's not the important part. What is important that they went to the same school and now they live side by side and they work together. And one of them voted for President Donald Trump. The other one, well, let's say he didn't. And whenever they start talking about politics, they get into arguments. Even though they remain friends and neighbors, it's always a little tense as far as I can say. And once when I was visiting, we went to a pub, we had a few beers, and even though they said that they didn't want to talk about politics, well, they did. And then it kind of all fell apart because clearly there was nothing that they could agree upon when it came to politics. And they both ended up a little upset. And now my question to you finally. Do you see something like that happening around you in your community where you are now?
Yes. Actually, it's really hard to discuss politics, but I don't think it's as for now. I mean, I'm here past 4 years, and I think it is really hard 4 years ago as it is right now. Maybe now it's a little bit harder because there might be more extreme kind of ideas or more extreme, people who want to really argue about it. But I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think talking about it and sharing what you think is not bad if you are in a group of people that is open-minded, let's say. So overall, yeah, I have similar experiences. I had friends who said they supported President Trump or they supported Kamala Harris, and they don't want to really talk about why or why not or how they feel about it with other people. But I think they feel safe to talk with me because I can't really vote. As of now, we don't have citizenship, so there's no way I can vote. So I'm really being open-minded. I'm listening to both sides, and I'm kind of trying both of good and bad things from both sides and understand the situation as of now. But yeah, I can tell you that sometimes when we go to a pub and we have a couple of beers, there might be some discussions that are hard. But again, I'm going to return to my social bubble, and I will say that all of my friends are open-minded. All of my friends can, even though they voted for different candidates, they can talk about it. They don't necessarily argue, but they rather listen, and they are trying to understand the other side, which I fully support.
I don't want to sound overly dramatic, but you feel safe there, right?
I can say for myself, and I have to stress it out for myself, me as Adam, I feel safe.
And I suppose you want to stay there in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, in the foreseeable future, I want to stay in the US, for sure.
Let me put it a bit bluntly. You, as a Czech, don't mind staying as a foreign student in what some people might call the Trump America, or the America under Trump.
Yeah, if you want to put it that way, yes, but I don't think US should be portrayed as a Trump's country, because there is, many different states, and I don't think portraying or saying, hey, this is Trump's country, is fair. And I don't think it would be fair, even though if there would be Kamala Harris, it's not Harris' country, it's not Trump's country, it's people's country. And that's very important to say. And people have different ideas, different opinions. They go through different struggles. It's state by state. And yes, I want to stay in the US, but I don't want to be now, it might be play with words now, but I'm not staying in Harris's country. I'm not staying in Trump's country. I'm staying in the United States of America.
You are listening to Czechast. I'm Vít Pohanka, and today we are talking to Adam Holomoucký, a young Czech graduate who came to the United States on a sports scholarship and is now building a life here with his wife. Let me ask you again about changing America, but this time in a slightly different and social context. Even if the basic institutions do not change, each country changes, at least socially, in its atmosphere. Do you see that around yourself?
I don't think it changed because of politics or necessarily the presidency, but I think it's changing because of the kind of outside pressures and society kind of changing itself in their opinions, in different views, even just saying, few years ago, work-life balance wasn't a thing. And now a lot of people want to have a balance in their work life and a normal kind of outside work life. So I think generally, yes, the society is changing, but I'm not sure. I don't think I'm qualified enough, let's say, to say it's due to politics or due to the switch of presidents. I believe it's general thing for the whole world right now.
So you're based in North Carolina, which is part of what's traditionally considered the American South. If you don't mind me asking, do you notice any signs of perhaps racial tensions, especially between African American communities and the still majority white population? Is that something that you've observed or felt in your daily life there?
I have a lot of friends that are, let's say, Afro-Americans or came from Africa or are from different countries generally, or their ancestors who are from different countries than the US or different continents, let's say. I can say I sometimes feel the tension, but rather because people don't know how to approach the diversity or how to approach the difference in a way, because no one wants to speak about it. No one taught us so. But again, I think generally in my bubble, and I know I'm repeating it a lot, but I really want the listener to understand that I'm not speaking for the whole United States. I'm not speaking about, for other people, other Czechs in the US. I'm speaking for myself. And in my bubble, I don't feel big tensions to, racial tensions, but I know there are racial tensions and I've seen them firsthand in a way. But I'm hoping that will change, and I'm very hopeful this will, the communication will improve and kind of this all will disappear, because it's something that needs a big attention, and I believe the attention will be given to it anytime soon.
Let me just make sure that I understand. You are still a student, right?
No, I graduated a week or two ago, and now I got a full-time job opportunity. I got offered a job, so I will start working in less than a month from now.
Adam, if you are not uncomfortable talking about it, have you got a green card, or what is your official status?
No. So now I'm on OPT, so I can stay here for a year on OPT. That's what every international student gets. If you are studying art, if you are studying the science field, you can stay here for 3 years on OPT. But then there are different options that we are currently discussing with our lawyers and other people, and we will be taking some actions to be able to stay here longer.
Here, just for the listeners, OPT stands for Optional Practical Training for Fresh Graduates in the United States. And do you want to stay in North Carolina?
Not really. We are now actually moving possibly towards Texas or Colorado.
Well, I have to admit personally that I simply love the American West and Southwest. What attracts you there? And I suppose it's not just the national parks and harsh but beautiful landscape.
I think currently it's mainly the job opportunity I got. But I mean, we've been to Colorado, we went to Colorado actually this past weekend for my brother-in-law graduation. And Colorado is amazing. The nature is awesome. And Texas, I mean, that's a completely different thing. As we said before, each state is different. And we still feel like we want to explore the US a little bit more. And we now understand, let's say, the culture in the North Carolina. We understand the people here, but we want to also, we already had that planned 4 years ago. We want to see other people. We want to see different cultures. We want to see if it's same or if it's not same. And I think that's really what will enrich us and help us grow. So I'm not sure if there is something necessarily attractive for me or for my wife as to speak, or like if there is something specific. But I think in general, it's just attractive to, get to know new people, try something new, see different things. So we are really excited to actually move somewhere else and live there and experience what is it like to live, as you said, Southwest.
So, to sum it up, Adam, are you a Czech living in America, or are you already inspiring to be an American?
I don't want to necessarily say I don't want to be American, but on the other hand, it would be silly to say that even though if I, in the foreseeable future, would, maybe gain the citizenship, let's say that I would, I mean necessarily think that that's erasing Czech, citizenship or my Czech nature or my Czech beliefs. And now this might sound very, very nationalistic or whatever, however you say it, but I still feel like I'm Czech citizen. I'm following Czech politics, Czech sports. I'm supporting Czech a lot. I'm proud to be Czech. I'm teaching my friends some Czech words, and I'm a big supporter of Czech communities in the United States. I'm connected with a lot of communities here in the United States because I believe you can live wherever you want, but Czech, if you were born in Czech Republic, or if you feel like you are, or if you are Czech citizen, or if you feel connected to the Czech Republic in general, I think there's nothing bad about it, and I think we should support it. We should teach people how is it right now, because there is some people who have still, these fairy tales about Czech Republic, and it's not just about fairy tales. It's about straight facts, but also about cultural support, and I want to support Czech communities worldwide. I want to, prove that I'm from Czech Republic, and I want to be proud that I'm from the Czech Republic.
That's it for this episode of Czechast. If you enjoyed our conversation with Adam Holomoucký or want to hear more stories from Czechs around the world, subscribe, share and tell your friends. You can find all our past episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to check out our sister show, Prague Off the Beaten Track, if you're curious about the hidden corners of the Czech capital. I'm Vít Pohanka, thank you for listening, take care and stay curious. Naslyšenou.
Czechast, a podcast in English about all things Czech. Whether you're an English-speaking expat living in Czechia and Slovakia, or a descendant of the Czechs, Moravians and Slovaks who left for a better life in America, Australia, Britain or Canada so long ago that you don't speak the language of the old country, this podcast in English is for you.